Ciao Juventini of the world, my name is Giuseppe, welcome back on the channel, I hope you're all doing well. Guys, first of all, sorry because I will not be in big form, I feel still a bit sick, but here we go because we have a really special guest. A guest that I'm super happy to have together with me this time because I read him since so many months on the channel. I read his takes. They are really, and most of the time, 99%, let's say, they are really great, constructive feedback. So I'm super honored to have a member of the channel, Abhay, that is joining us. Ciao, Abhay. How are you doing?
Ciao, Pepe. So good to see you. I'm doing amazingly well. I'm so happy to be here. Thank you for having me.
It's a real pleasure. Wait, because there was an echo of my other computer, so I was hearing myself. That was really annoying. But super happy to have you. I started with a fino alla fine chant from the supporters. Why? Because Thomas Makluf, this is another member of the channel, he sent me a message just like 10 minutes before the live. He said, Beppe, I want you today to play that song. So I will do it again if Thomas missed it. Look at that. You will not be able to hear it, I believe, Abhay, but the people in the chat will. Fino alla fine, forza Juventus. Oh. I'm super happy because I was looking for that song. I didn't have that song in my possession, so thank you, Thomas, for that one. And he's already launching the topic of Mandzukic, made the role by his own, let Morata have his say in his transition. I believe he's happy there. So we will speak about Morata Mandzukic because, of course, Morata is not Mandzukic, but how can he perform in that kind of role if it's the same role? Because Mandzukic was playing in a 4-2-3-1 and Allegri is not playing that style at the moment again. We'll speak about Vlahovic and Zakaria, their debut, because we didn't speak about it live on the channel. We did it on the post game, of course, but not really in detail with someone. We speak about Chiellini. Chiellini injured, unfortunately, again, and he will not miss one, not two, but three or more games. That's a lot. We know that we have Super Rugani on the bench, but will it be enough? We'll have a lot of things to cover. Let me say hello first, Abhay, and then I will let you speak a lot today. But let me say hello to the people in the chat. We have Aman, who is there. Ciao, Aman, that is doing all the emotes, or nearly all the emotes, who is doing a lot of graphics also sometimes when I need him, some memes, some funny things. Thank you, Aman. We have Andrew Finnin, who is there, Anthony Schifano, we have Rambo, Sad1919, Sad19. I just have a message for you. If you don't stop to say that Home of Juve is not a Juve fan, I will ban you from the channel. I don't want this kind of childish behavior on the channel, okay? You are a child, a kid, an adult, a mature, whoever you are, grandmother, grandfather, or kid, no childish behavior on the channel or I will ban people. Ciao Aldo, who wrote me a really beautiful message also today, because yesterday we were live on the Socios channel for a pilot. It was speaking about Serie A with Roma fans, Inter fans, Milan fans that were representing their club. I had 90 minutes of really great show. Aldo went, he watched it, he said, Beppe, it's also great to see that we can dislike the club, but respect between people are really important. I'm watching the results. So Inter 2-0 versus Roma at the moment in Coppa Italia. I don't like Inter, Abhay, but I have to admit that I'm happy that they win. You want my theory first before saying yours about the Inter Roma?
You go, Pepe.
So really easy. Inter winning, that means that they are obliged to play two more games. So they will have to play the next round in Coppa Italia, and I'm happy about that because more they play, more they are tired, more they have chances for whatever, for people that are tired and not playing the next games, rotation and so on. So I'm super happy. Then they don't have to go through the semifinals. But this one, I'm happy. So
Let them go.
let them go. So, Abhay, thank you. I spoke a lot, so sorry for that. Now it's your turn.
No,
Do you want to
no.
start with the Juve Verona and your impressions about the game?
I think that's a good place to start, huh? Everyone must be wanting to talk about that. Our first game with Vlahovic, Zakaria, big transition moment in the history of Juve, I think. Not only in this season, but also this is a transition for us as a team for some years now. So that's a good spot in my opinion. I want to say to everybody, Beppe mentioned it, but Beppe is not feeling so good. So maximum of likes for Beppe
Uh,
to make him feel better now. Maybe he'll feel better now, and also for doing this 11 p.m. your time, even though you're not feeling good. So you're showing your affection for all of us by being here. So thank you so much.
Thank you, Abhay. No, I'm not because Ron was asking as well. I'm not feeling that super well. But anyway, today I will not talk a lot. Today Abhay will bless us with his really great take. So I'm happy with that. That's really great. Super happy. I agree. Turning point of the season with the mercato, Vlahovic, Zakaria, they made an instant impact. Were you expecting that impact from the two players that just arrived for their first game? No, I will start with an earlier question. Were you expecting both of them to start from the first minute? That's the question.
I wasn't so confident, to be honest. But actually, when Allegri started both of them, I thought that was a very, very good sign of the alignment between our manager and upper management who are doing the scouting and the recruiting and the signing of new players. Because that must mean that Allegri is super happy with these signings. That he is starting them immediately, maybe after what, 2, 3, 4 training sessions with these new players, not very much. But still, he's starting both of these new players immediately. And maybe Zakaria would have played the full 90 minutes. Vlahovic did, of course, played the full game. Zakaria probably would have if he didn't get hurt. And that's a very good sign, I think, of the alignment of the club, that the coach is starting the two new players from the beginning. This is not so common. We see new players coming on board with just a few training sessions like them. They come on for 20 minutes, 30 minutes. So I think it's a very good sign. But I wasn't expecting it, but I was happy to see it.
Vlahovic was more or less easy that we would have seen him from the start. Zakaria a bit less, especially because he comes also from another league, Bundesliga. He comes from Borussia Mönchengladbach, that is not Bayern Munich. So arriving and starting immediately is for me a big sign of trust. On the other hand, do you think he would have played if Locatelli was available? Because that's another question that we probably will never know. Huh? Because now it's too late. Now he played. But do you think he would have played even if Locatelli was there?
Ciao Ninib. I don't know. I think that the sixth position for us is a little bit more of a complicated position. And so if the option was for Zakaria to play the six because Locatelli was available, then I'm not sure. But Locatelli could have come in, played six instead of Arthur because Locatelli has played there in the six so many times this season already. And Zakaria could have played on the right. I think that Zakaria on the right may be a solution sometimes, even if the main role for him will be in the six. I think maybe this will be a solution in some games, playing him as an 8 on the right side.
And that's a big topic that was raised. I don't know how many people paid attention to the press conference of Allegri, but also to words of Zakaria, because Allegri first said he just arrived, of course. I already see a lot of skills in him. I think that he can play as a number 6, as a number 8. Now we don't have Locatelli, so we will probably see him as an 8, but I don't know if it will be his definite position. So that's a big question mark about the future role of him. And then there was Zakaria that said, I like both positions, 6 or 8, but I'm also a player that wants to go up, that likes to score. So maybe he's going and tending a bit more to that 8 position. What would be your ideal midfield or lineup? Because actually, or you play with 2 midfielders or with 3, if everyone is available.
Yeah, I think we play with a 3 in midfield for sure.
And which man?
For me, right, I think on current form it has to be Locatelli and McKennie and Zakaria.
And Zakaria as a 6.
I think Zakaria as a 6. I think it may take some time to get to that point because, again, the 6 position, much more positional. Allegri has a lot of preferences for how his 6 plays. You see how long it's taken Arthur to be able to even get some minutes in that position. Because Allegri likes the 6 to sit, be very disciplined with his positioning, and based upon the ball movement, then you rotate your position like this. Zakaria is a little bit more, if there's space in front of him, he likes to dribble into space. And as a 6, he will have more difficulty doing that unless there's an understanding between him and Locatelli, that Locatelli will hold in the 6th position sometimes for Zakaria to take space if it's available to him. So I think Zakaria as a 6, but it will take maybe a little bit more time. Maybe I'll be surprised and he adapts to that position quickly, but I think it'll be a little more time understanding the positioning that Allegri wants from him to be able to fix that position.
I think that we can see him on Thursday as a 6. because we are playing Sassuolo, that is a respectable team, of course, but it's a Coppa Italia where you have a bit less pressure in Coppa Italia. Why? Because yes, of course, it's one of the objectives. We already lost the Supercoppa, so it's maybe the only trophy that you can win. That's correct. But on the other hand, if you lose versus Sassuolo, it's bad, of course, but it's not the damage for the league, for the top four. So if you want to test, it's now the moment to see him as a 6.
Yeah.
With Locatelli, with McKennie, with Arthur, with Rabiot, with actually all your midfielder at disposal, it's the moment to test him there. Arthur played, Locatelli, we already know him, but I agree. And then we have the question for the offensive lineup. Ninip is asking, do you think that Morata, Vlahovic, Dybala, they're there to start every game, or was it just a test for one game to see what they were able to do and maybe an idea for the future?
Yeah, I think they are our best starting 3. That's my opinion. Ciao, Alessio. Good to see you. All of these names, these are my friends from chat.
I know.
Now I'm seeing them and feeling so happy to see them.
Hey guys, again,
I think
I interrupt Abhay, but I love to do also these kind of things, with people from the chat, seeing their face. So if you have a good audio, a good camera, it doesn't need to be 4K or whatever, but if you have something that we can see and hear you, if you are a member of the channel, let me know, guys. You have DMs on Instagram, on Twitter, you have the Telegram group. Let me know, and then we try to fix it, because it's always nice to have. I like to be alone, but I always like to have some people next to me, so that sometimes I can rest and hear to the great takes of people. Why? Because I'm learning a lot from other people. That's why I'm reading a lot, not only the stats, because stats you can interpret them as you want, but also the opinion, especially people that are not really agreeing with me. As long as they are they are respectful, you tell me and then you come up. So sorry for interrupting you, Abhay.
No. I think they're our best starting 3 in attack. I do. I think they're the best based upon current fitness. When Chiesa comes back, there'll be a big question mark, in my opinion. Also, depending on what happens with Morata in the summer. But for now, with the current squad, I think they are our best attacking 3 in general.
And Ninipi was looking a bit further. He said, what about the subs? What about the rotation? Because if you start your 3 best, who's coming in? So with the players that we have on the bench, and we are speaking about Moiskin and about Caio Giorgi, who are they replacing in that? Because we played a kind of 4-3-2-1 or 4-3-1-2. That's how we played. We changed at halftime. But where do you see who's playing? And also for Dybala, who do you play in this position?
Yeah, I think that Vlahovic is really our only qualified target man. Even Morata, I think they are better off the main striker. We saw this weekend. Was this Morata's best game of the season? Maybe. Close. Top 3, in my opinion.
I agree.
Games of the entire season. And there's so many factors, he's an emotional player. He's up and down depending on circumstances, everything. But a big part of that, in my opinion, is that Vlahovic is now taking that responsibility off of his shoulders, which Morata does not like. Being the target man, being the focus of 2 center backs every game. That's a big responsibility, and Vlahovic is better suited to that. So Morata is playing off of the striker, I think is much, much better for him. And I think that will be the natural place for like a Moiskin to come in, is in for Morata. We saw this on the weekend against Verona also. That's where Kane came in, and I think this is a natural rotation. Kane for Morata. Sometimes if we want to rotate Vlahovic, then it's a bigger question. I think Morata will play the target man, and Kane can come in and play a supporting striker. Or we can play 4-4-2 with Bernardeschi on like left wing, Quadrado on the right wing, and Dybala as a 10 with Morata behind if Vlahovic needs to be rotated.
It's a fact that at Fiorentina he didn't miss any single match except of the suspension he had in the last one. No, the COVID, we will never know if he really had COVID or not. But except of that one, he was missing any game. He's playing 90 minutes every game. The guy is young. He just celebrated 22. He has the pace to do it. But Fiorentina was playing 1 game a week. If you go to Juve, you are potentially playing 2, even sometimes even 3 games a week, which is a total different pace and rhythm. So let's see how much energy he has. And the problem is also in the league, you don't have that many opportunities to rest your Vlahovic, because we bought Vlahovic and that's a really great sign. That's a big effort. But if he's not there, you still have the problem. So then you will have to improvise. I agree with you. What about the crazy atmosphere at the moment? That is really positive. Huh? I also see it on the channel because, you know, the last time I asked on the channel, where were people when we were doing bad? How is it possible that everyone disappeared in the live? You know, after the post games, we were with 200, 250, and now with all the enthusiasm, we are again 600, 700 people, which is super great. I talked about it with a friend, and he said, Beppe, but you don't have to forget that maybe not everyone is as passionate, but also really important. People are seeing also football as a moment of joy, as a moment of sharing joy, being happy. And when things are not going that good, they prefer just to close and stop and do something else. And actually, I said it's true. It's true.
Yeah.
So that positive moment that comes from the
Yeah.
mercato, that comes from the Verona, how long do you think that it can continue in the season? And where do you think that it can bring us? Because now we see the pictures of Zakaria together with McKennie. They are happy. They are celebrating. We see Dybala
Yeah.
posting a beautiful picture on Instagram celebrating with, you know, there is a really great team cohesion and so on. How far and how long can it continue this season?
Yeah, and this was the first thing I noticed with the game, Beppe, was the psychological factor of signing Vlahovic and Zakaria. This was the thing. Yeah. So that's true too. Now the happy moments are sweeter for all of us who stayed and joined the lives
So
and came in and supported even when we were suffering as a team. So you lose something a little bit by only jumping in when things are going well. You lose that difference
it's
of
true.
feeling and that you get by sticking with it. Anyways, the psychological effect is very, very noticeable, and it's not only from signing Vlahovic and Zakaria, it's from what that represents. Because now even I was feeling like this: we
I
can
agree.
compete in the mercato. We showed this in January. We can compete with the big teams. Maybe now it'll be a little, smarter in the summer in terms of how we spend. But I think it's a big statement that in the transfer window we are able to compete for the big players still, you know.
Mm,
And in this case, in the last couple of windows, it's been the big players, the standout players from Italy, but that's also like a viable transfer strategy. We don't have to compete with Premier League players and Spanish league players and all like that. We can still, compete within Italy,
I
within
I
the transfer.
agree with you that it's a big message, because I was watching and reading all the comments, and I saw some people that were maybe going a bit more to the depressive, negative side, saying that, hey Beppe, but probably the cycle that ended, because it's a fact that the cycle ended, but probably the cycle that ended will continue for 3 seasons, maybe 5 seasons, before we are back to what we were, and maybe not even, because we know that the differences between the leagues are increasing. So they were all saying, Beppe, pay attention, because we could be in that negative spiral. And Juventus coming in that mercato, now we will have to show on the field. But for me, was a big sign of, and that's what actually I'm super happy, because I was saying it, pay attention, Juventus not longer than 2-3 years, and they are always back, because Juventus never die. So I agree with you that it was more a psychological effect, and saying we are here and we don't give up. The management doesn't give up. So I'm
Yeah.
super happy. We have 2 questions. The first one
Yeah.
from Zaki. Thank you, Zaki. Thank you for the donation, buddy. And he's saying, it's sad to say, but once Bonucci is back, we'll start leaking goals again. Thanks God, Zapata is not playing this weekend. Glad to see Danilo protect him. About Zapata, I think it's a really great point from Zaki, because it's the in Italian you say no, in French you say la bête noire. That means the how can I say the la bête noire in English? It's actually the player that is the most dangerous for Bonucci. So We saw it a few times. The way he's playing versus Zapata, it's a disaster. So I agree with that. I agree with Danilo. I don't agree that with Bonucci we will start leaking goals again, because if you see, we started the last 13 games to have like 9 clean sheets, and Bonucci was a big part of it as well.
Yeah.
What do you think about that take before going to Fedja that
Yeah.
had another comment?
So I had this in my notes. I was thinking today, what will I say? Making notes, everything. And so I had some thoughts about the game, but also I was thinking, what am I looking forward to seeing next? This is just the beginning. This is just the beginning of a transformation of our team, I hope. And I am really looking forward to Bonucci and Locatelli being in the starting lineup with Vlahovic, because Vlahovic actually, if you watch him off the ball, he's a very, how do you say it? He's a very active striker with his offensive movements. If the opposing team, like when Verona had the ball in our half, then he uses the time to recuperate his energy a little bit, just staying on the center back, walking, recuperating some energy. This is naturally what a striker does. But when the ball was with the defense in Verona, one, he is an active presser, but also when we have the ball, he's active with his forward movements, with making runs. And on Sunday against Verona, we don't have any reliable long passer in the entire team. Danilo, a little bit. If he has time and space on the ball from right back position, he can make good entry passes, but not that long. Usually he was looking for like a Zakaria or a Dybala on the right wing for Danilo. So Danilo is good for playing that entry pass. But actually, he's also not a very reliable long passer. But Locatelli and Bonucci are reliable long passers. I think we'll have a lot more success because Vlahovic is a better target man for receiving long balls than anyone else that we've had, like Morata, which we've been trying. So I think Bonucci in the team will actually be a positive, especially offensively, because he can play very good long entry balls into Vlahovic, who makes good runs for that.
I agree, because I was commenting the game on Watch Along, and at a certain moment I was quite annoying that we were trying to do these kind of long balls in the beginning of the game for Vlahovic, but we were not precise. And if there is a quality that and Locatelli and Bonucci have, it's being precise and accurate with these long balls that we were missing. So I believe that we will win, and I was super impressed about the physicality of Vlahovic. How many times he was fighting with Gunter, the defender of Verona. How many times he was really held with the two hands, with the arms around him from Gunter. The guy
getting no calls, by the way. He didn't get any calls until the second half.
Never. But he was staying on his feet. A Morata, for example, that has other qualities, and we'll speak about him in a bit. He was often on the ground, and 1-on-2, it was a foul. The other time we continued to play, and we were losing possession because of that. That impressed me a lot. Comment of Fedja Fedorovic, who is saying, and thank you for your donation, Zaki and Fedja. Juve 2, 0 Verona. No, Cherubini 2, Verona. Juve Champions League. What was your take before going to the other players? What was your take about Cherubini since he's here? Because he received a lot of criticism because of the length of the negotiation with for Locatelli. People were calling him meeting man. They were so beautiful, really nice, funny memes that he also said in Tuttosport. I saw the memes. I was laughing with it. So it's a guy of humor. He can take a joke. So really a lot of criticism for the length. And then suddenly, boom, boom. How do you see Cherubini? Is it too early to judge? Are you already satisfied by what he's showing and doing?
It's early signs. Even Morata or Paratici, they made mistakes also in their time at Juve. Sometimes people think that Morata made no mistakes ever. That's not true. If you look at the incomings and outgoings during his time, then so no technical director will be perfect. No football director will be perfect. But based upon his first 2 windows with us, just look at it. Boils down to 2 lists: who we signed and who we sold. That's it. Ultimately, that's all it boils down to. And if you look at those 2 lists, you have to say that it's a good start for Cherubini.
I was looking for something. I don't have it here, unfortunately, but I think I shared it in the Telegram group. It was about the wages that we saved in not that long. I have the comparison between 2019-20 season and 21-22. So if you look in season 19-20 with our midfield, I'm just speaking about our midfield. Pjanic, Khedira, Matuidi, Rabiot, Bentancur, and Ramsey. These were the players we had in our mid. They were costing us net 32 million. Gross, because that's what the club is paying for our midfield, it was nearly 54 million. If you look at today, after the three actually transfer windows, we have Arthur, McKennie, Rabiot, Locatelli, Zakaria. We have 20,500 net, 29 or actually 30 gross. So we went on a saving from our midfielders in 2 seasons. Saving 44% of our wages. That's because that's something that not a lot of people they notice, because they see, okay, we became a bit better because now we have a Locatelli, we have a Zakaria, but we also did a lot of cost saving, and we still know that we have a big player like Rabiot with 7 million net. That is really a lot of money. So it's not only the player qualities that we are working on, but also their salary and also their age. Because if you look at 2 years ago, we had Khedira and Pjanic that were going towards that older age, while now you have Arthur at 25, McKennie, Rabiot, Locatelli, Zakaria, they are all younger players. So age and finances. And that's what Cherubini was saying in Tuttosport in, I think it was October, something like October, I believe, where he was explaining a bit the new strategies and so on. So I have to admit that big work and great work.
I think so. Yeah.
So let me read the comment of Thomas so that they give us inspiration, and then the one of Alessio, and then you can pick which one you want to answer, Abhay. Thomas is saying, with improved attack, the midfield can play better, and with a better midfielder, the defense can play better too. I believe we will be fine with Bonucci back. So that's actually a more comment than a question. And then Alessio was saying, what about Chiesa? You think he will play better with him, or would it be more difficult to add him to the squad? I mean, will we have to integrate a player like him in the team in the future? If I can answer really fast, it will all depend on what we do with the transfer window. Because if you keep Morata, that's 1 point. If you keep Dybala, that's another point, because with Dybala you have to play in a certain way. With Morata you have to play in another way. And also who you buy, because if you really go with Zaniolo, at a certain moment you have to change your team. So that's my take on that Chiesa. I don't know if you want to add something on Chiesa, Abhay, or if you want to go immediately to the new role of Morata, what you think. And also I put it on the thumbnail, I put it comparing him to Mandzukic, a bit provoking. What's your take on that? So Chiesa or Morata, you go.
Yeah, short comment on Chiesa. I think we have to integrate him, and I think Allegri will integrate him. Yeah, we do now. So I think yes, it will take some work to integrate him with Vlahovic, and then who are the other attacking players? That depends upon the transfer window. Depends on Dybala, Morata. We'll see. But I think that Chiesa and Vlahovic have to be 2 critical parts of our attack. I think that's without question.
And they already played together at Fiorentina.
And I mean, they're two of the best young players in world football. We cannot fail as a club to integrate them into our attack. That has to be an unacceptable outcome, that we can't integrate Chiesa and Vlahovic together. That's unacceptable.
I agree with that. I launched a poll 8 minutes ago about Bonucci. I will close it now. The question was, will we concede more with Bonucci? Yes had 25% of the votes. No had 70 or 69%. And then there were 7% of the people that voted play Rugani instead. That was also an option. So I closed it. The no, I agree with the no. 70% of the people said that. thank you, Fedja, for the donation. He said you have the number one goal scorer in Serie A and Coppa Italia. I agree. By the way, 18 goals for Vlahovic. And if you look at Salernitana scored with the total team in Serie A 16 goals. So Vlahovic has 2 more goals than all Salernitana. Crazy stat. AJ, our friend, is saying I think that it's hard to fit Chiesa and Dybala together. What about Dybala? And then we will go. Morata, we'll wait a bit because that's a longer discussion. What about Morata? Dybala. Dybala played, according to me, a really great game on Sunday versus Verona. It was really great. In the first half, I wanted to see him a bit more central because he tended again to go too much to the right. But that's what he did. And also Allegri changed something and he was a bit more central in the second half where he played, for me, a really amazing game. And then you have that substitution at the 75th, a behavior that for me it's not okay. What's your take on Dybala, about how he played, about his future at the team, and also about his sub and also the way that he was not positive?
Yeah. Well, I think Vlahovic is very good for Dybala. This is my feeling.
It was answering to the Marotta mistakes indeed. Jorge Martinez, Malacca, that was his name, the Malacca.
So, I think Dybala will benefit a lot from Vlahovic arriving, because Dybala, like, I saw a comment that Verratti was making, that Ancelotti made to him. Did you see? There was an article today.
About Ancelotti?
About Ancelotti.
I didn't see it, no.
So when Ancelotti was coach of PSG, he was managing Verratti, and he said to him, first he was trying to make him play less risky in front of the box. This is, if you watch Verratti, this is his quality. It's a high risk, high reward, because he draws pressure, and then if he can escape the pressure, he plays a really penetrating forward pass, huh?
Continue, I will fill, but I hear you. Continue.
Okay. So Ancelotti was trying to coach him. Hey, don't take so many risks. If you're under pressure in front of the box, just clear it. And he saw that after so much trying to make him play like this, a little bit more careful, it still wasn't happening. So Ancelotti said, okay, now I realize that you are who you are, and I will either pick you to play knowing your entire set of qualities, your strengths and weaknesses, how you play, or I won't play you. That was Ancelotti's comment. So the reason I'm saying this is because I think we have to accept Dybala has a certain style of play. It's very difficult for him to be positionally disciplined as a forward and to stay high. But I think that before signing Vlahovic, that was a big problem for us. So even when Dybala would have games where he had moments of brilliance, megging players, making beautiful passes, great touches, dribbling out of space and pressure, still this is the thing that would bother me watching him play, is this lack of position or discipline positionally, right? And you've commented on this a lot. I think Dybala plays like that. It's almost impossible to try to force him to play differently. But now with Vlahovic, that is less damaging to us as a team because we have a big presence now in Vlahovic, and separately Morata also is a little bit more disciplined as a forward. He can hold their defense back and make runs away from the back line to receive the ball. So I think that actually Dybala's tendencies as a player match better with now that we have Vlahovic as our starting number 9 than before with Morata, who also is not he's not a big presence as a forward like Vlahovic is. I think that Vlahovic is making Dybala's strengths more strengths and his weaknesses less weaknesses.
I was looking at the heat maps from the individuals, but also the heat map from the team. And even if, and it's true, because some people were saying, hey, Beppe was a great game. Yes, we were all happy, but at the end, it was not a spectacular game for 90 minutes. And it's also correct, because if you see the average position of our team, so the block, we still were really low. with a
Yeah.
lot of players in our midfield. I'm speaking about average, of course. Huh? But the difference with Vlahovic and the pre-Vlahovic is that this time you had that block that was quite low, but you had Vlahovic that was staying on top. And that's a big difference because I was showing also with the... We have a new member, Jules, or Jules. Jules, I think it's Jules. No, Jules is with one L. Jules 99 that just became a member of the channel. Grande Jules. So the difference is that Morata in his qualities was doing that, going dropping and going deep and helping the team and sacrificing. The problem is that he didn't have the energy to change his mindset and going up and staying up. He always came defending and he was losing a lot of energy. Losing a lot of energy also meant that he was not clear in front of the goal. He didn't have the lucidity, the clear vision to be cold in front of the goal because he ran that much. The difference now is you have a Dybala that is free and going wherever he wants, even if Morata is going and support the team in the midfield, but you still have someone that is up and staying up. And that's a big difference for me. So I agree that we don't have, like Dybala, how many times did we see him going as a fullback, as a right fullback, supporting the team? What is really great, but the other thing is you can't play, especially with the last two seasons where he's a bit more injury prone, he has to pay attention. We can't expect Morata and Dybala to go all the field. It's not for them. So now they are a bit less responsible for what's happening up front, and they are there to support. So I agree with you, Abhay. What about the behavior of Dybala? 75th minute.
So the thing in my head is like everything about the performance from Dybala, but also about what's going on for the team and for the club is like so smooth. And then this is like one thorn, that you put in the path, the otherwise smooth path. And so I was a little bit disappointed in Dybala for that. Because the bigger picture, I know it's very difficult. You're one person, you're in your own life, in your own mind, you're thinking about yourself. It's natural to prioritize yourself over everything. But from the perspective of the club and of all of the supporters, I felt like it was not intelligent for the moment, recognizing the bigger moment and then adding in this little sourness, little bitterness to the whole experience. So I thought that was not so smart by Dybala.
Also because it took really a long time before he calmed down, huh? Because we saw him like 5 minutes after he was subbed and he was still really pissed off on the bench. There is one thing that, okay, players, they want to play. And I totally agree with that. I like when players want to play because we would have a problem if players are happy to go out. So on that point, I understand. On the other hand, he's 28. He's not 21 anymore, young in his career. And what I didn't like was, first of all, because he's vice captain. And, in my philosophy, my vision, the team is always bigger, especially when you are a manager, a captain. You have to pay attention for the people under you. So that's one thing. The other thing is the moment, because he traveled to Argentina. It's true that he played only 21 minutes on 2 games, but he traveled. That's still an international travel with jet lag and so on. He went there to Argentina. Cuadrado didn't play. He entered. McKennie, he also had a problem with his playing, but he didn't play. He was celebrating as crazy, McKennie, that the potential substitute of his role, so the one that will take his spot, potentially, we will see where McKennie will fit, that he scored. He was super happy. And then you have a Dybala that is actually putting a black touch on a perfect performance because he played really well. It's a pity because then you go on social media and you see again a division between the fans. The fans who are saying, don't touch Dybala, he's a genius, he's really great, and it's normal, and Allegri is not respecting him. Allegri knows that we are playing Sassuolo. He knows that we have even a more important game versus Atalanta on Sunday. And then you have the people that are hating Dybala or saying, it's not okay, it's not okay. So for me, you have to pay attention to the consequences of what you are doing. That's the only thing I have to say about that performance of Dybala. In terms of percentage, what do you think will happen with his contract? You think he stays or he will leave?
I hope he stays. I hope he stays. I think that we have to see the next few games, but I think that Dybala will really shine with Vlahovic and Morata together. I think that this front three really suits Dybala. You have two hard workers that, especially Vlahovic, takes up space and attention away from the defenders of the opposing team. Morata also, second, he draws attention, and he knows how to press. Both of them know how to press well. So I think that Dybala will really shine over the next few games in a more free role with having really good offensive options in front of him, both players making really good forward runs. So I think that Dybala will shine, and I think that we'll offer him a contract, a good contract because of that. And I hope he renews. I think that actually, as a team, I made this comment on the last video after Verona. I think that our style of play will evolve away from him over time. But I hope he resigns, and I think he has a big part to play for our team, but that the maximum level of the team, we will actually achieve with someone else as a right winger and a 4-3-3.
I agree with that. I agree. Then I don't know what player can do it, but if you see at Fiorentina, for example, with Italiano, they were playing that 4-3-3, and you see how Vlahovic was. I was impressed about how fast he adapted. Impressed, not surprised, but impressed to see it with my eyes. I agree. Yeah. What about Keane? That's the question of fruit pack, but I favor it. That's a new thing, by the way, that I like with the program I'm using from now on. I think it's just 1 week. It's new. I can favorite the messages because sometimes they are going really fast and then you lose them. Now I can star them. So that means that when I see something and I star them, they are blocked there. I like that. I like that new option. So what about Keane, his future at the club? Because I was expecting, to be honest, a bit more from him. Same situation as Morata. I don't see him as the finisher, as the killer. But I was still expecting a bit more from him. What about you? And what do you think? Do you think we will stay or he will leave?
It's hard to say, but I think that similarly to Morata, I've never ever liked Keane as a target man, as the target man in our offensive 3 or 2 or however we play. I think that position really doesn't suit him. I think he's similar to Morata in that way. He's incredible physically. Morata also is good physically. He's fast, he's strong, he's a good all-around physical player. Keane is also that. So I think that maybe it will be a good situation for him now to see Morata in this new role that Morata is playing now. Yeah. He just started playing one game, let's see. But I think that this will be Morata's new role for the rest of the year. And I think it will be good for Keane to see this role being played and to learn how to play that role. I think it'll be more natural for him to play less back to the box, not up against center back so much, but more against a deep lying midfielder or one of the outside backs, being able to play in the space on the half turn, having somebody in front of him to pass to. I think that will be better for Keane. I think he will show more of his quality, not having the responsibility of being the target man. Whether he's the right long-term solution to play as a second striker or as a Mandzukic style left-sided striker off of Vlahovic, I have my doubts whether he's the right person for Juve long-term for that role. But I think that now he has a better mold for a role to grow into as this second striker off the left side, because he's also actually a decent dribbler. If you saw him,
it is.
He has some dribbling skills, and he doesn't have a chance to show them playing as a main striker.
I agree. There is a question that I will quick answer. Can Dybala play as a right winger in that 4-3-3? No. In a 4-4-2? No, because he doesn't have the legs, according to me. I believe that from the moment Dybala will be subbed out, I think that we will go towards, and that can be at the 70th minute, the 80th minute, but from the moment he switch, we will have a winger more, maybe a Quadrado taking his spot offensively. With on the left, you have Morata, and then you have Vlahovic on top, can be a solution, and not going with that central. So from playing a bit more centrally now, we'll go again a bit more wider. That's what I believe. Saad is asking, who is the guest, guys? You had an answer from Alessio who said the one and only Abhay. That's true. You want to say in a 2-3 words, because we didn't even present it you correctly, but what you want to share, of course. But where are you living? Where are you from? And why the passion of Juve? Really, really short, Abhay.
Yeah. So I live in Florida, USA. So I'm 5-6 hours behind you, Beppe. But I grew up playing. I grew up playing soccer here, and my options of national teams to support growing up were India. My father's from India, and then my mother is half Irish and Italian.
Okay.
So these are my three options of who to support in the World Cup, right?
Yeah,
And of
you know
course,
what's funny, Abhay? That your three countries where you're from are all starting with an I.
yeah,
India, Ireland, and Italy. It's crazy.
yeah, it's true. So of those options, of course, number one option is Italy. So in terms of European global football, my first interest was with the Italian national team. And so 98, 2002, 2006, when I really became interested. And at that time, so you can think of the players of that era,
Vieri,
Baggio, a
Del
little bit,
Piero.
Vieri, Del Piero, Totti, Pirlo, like this, Gattuso, Buffon also, in 2006 especially.
The Buffon
So
always, since 1897 you have Buffon until
exactly. So the Italian national team was my first entry into global football. But then on the Italian national team, I fell in love with one player. That player became our manager last season,
Pirlo.
Andrea Pirlo. Pirlo. I fell in love with him and his style of play. So intelligent, amazing passes. Also because Florida. I live in Florida. So in Florida is a very good state in the US for soccer, for football. So I liked playing midfield, and Pirlo was obviously an amazing midfielder. So I fell in love with the Pirlo at that time. And so I was mostly a fan of Pirlo. And then, no, unfortunately I can't. I didn't learn it growing up, English only. But then Pirlo, he was obviously playing with Milan in 2006, and then he came to Juve when he did. But I wasn't really a fan of teams so much at that time. I was mostly a fan of individual players. So Pirlo, Ronaldinho, Thierry Henry, all of those big players of that time. But I was really unhappy with how Milan treated Pirlo when letting him leave. That all of the coverage of that and the way that was handled, it made me really, really upset, actually. And then he signed for Juve. And so that season, I started following Juve. First season of Pirlo, first season of Conte, like that. And so that was a very good time to start following Juve, as you know. But even when Pirlo left, then by that time, my love for him as a player had transferred into love for Juve. And so much about the club and so many of the players that were on the team and that are still on the team now, I developed affection for the club and for all of the fans that I was learning and meeting, and for so many of the players and the club itself. And so now my main love in the sport is the club Juve, but it started with some players as I was growing up like that.
But I believe it's something natural that you start with loving. I think a lot of people, they start with the national team, then they see really one player that is more like than the other ones, and then they start following him. I had it with Baggio and Schillaci when in the 90s, World Cup Italy 90, and then I knew there were Juve players. I started to watch Juve, and that was a bit my way. My son, who I was giving up hope on him loving football, is really starting to love football, but a lot. And he started also this summer with Italy winning, and he said, "Oh, Chiesa," but for me, I believe there were no other option that he loved Juve, because it's Juve from the morning until the night. But also with Chiesa going Juve, so that's really, really nice. Did you go? Last question about you, and then we go back to the Juve world, because we still have to speak about that Morata, even if we already covered a lot about Morata. But you already went to the stadium?
No.
Oh, that's something you have to do, Abhay.
You take me, Befe,
Yeah,
huh?
we have to organize it because it's really a great experience. Really, really, really. Hopefully, we can go back to a warm support because it's true that
Mm,
it's a bit a cold atmosphere at the moment until they fix all
mm,
the extra problems. It is what it is, but
yeah.
the stadium is really a jewel. It's a beautiful experience. That's something I wish for every Juve fan, but also from other teams, that they have the ability to one day watch their team in their stadium because it's
Mm,
really beautiful. You have to go,
mm.
Abhay. One day you
Oh
have
yeah,
to.
absolutely, absolutely.
Let's go back with Mohammad Youssef, my great friend from the channel, who's saying situation of players like Dybala, De Ligt, Morata, Ken will depend on how we will finish this season. This management is not in a rush. Dybala renewal will be a financial sacrifice and hope it's not
Mm,
our number four. Thank you for the donation, Mohammed. What do you have to answer to Mohammed on his comment?
yeah. Well, I hope the renewal of Dybala doesn't mean selling De Ligt. So I love Dybala actually. Actually, I'll show you. Look, can you see?
Oh yeah, I have the same.
My So anybody calls me a Dybala hater, they're wrong because I'm not. But if you told me now we either keep De Ligt or Dybala, for me we have to keep De Ligt. We have to. I think he's more important for the long-term health of the team um, than Dybala. Although I would, if we can keep both, that is my preference. But if, like Mohammed is saying, there's some trade-off between Dybala and a De Ligt, for example, then in my opinion, I would prefer that we keep our number
But
four.
we made, I will not do the poll again. If you want to, guys, you can write it in the chat because we already made it a few times. But if really you have to decide between two players, I know that the majority always in the poll, they are voting for De Ligt. Probably with a broken heart because Dybala is 7 years. 7 years with a lot of years with magic, with a lot of skills. We love these kind of players. We saw him growing up. For a lot of fans of Juve, they started with Dybala and they saw him growing. So it's painful. Probably I'm older. I saw people going like Buffon 2 times, Del Piero.
Mm.
I saw Trezeguet, Nedved, Camoranesi. So I'm already used a bit more to players and
Yeah,
important players leaving the team. And I know that even if important players leave, there is always a tomorrow. Sometimes you
yeah,
can go in a dip, but you are always coming back if you are supporting a club like Juve.
yeah,
But it's true that preference if keep both also because of the face and the importance of a Dybala. But again, then it also depends a lot on the Ligt, a lot of the league because or you cash in terms of management and you are open to do it, but it depends. At the moment, the signs
mm,
are that the league really loves the city. He really appreciated the efforts that the management made to have both immediately a player like Vlahovic, a player like Zakaria, because a young player like the
mm,
league, even if he loves Juve and whatever you want, he is ambitious. It's not a money hunter or a glory hunter in terms of money. Gold digger, that's the
mm.
word I was looking. It's not really
Yeah,
that
yeah,
type of guy, but it's true that he's
yeah,
ambitious. And if Juventus
yeah,
can't show him a project, that can be a danger for having the number four leaving. What we did,
yeah.
I believe that's a great one. So
Me too.
what about Chiellini? Because again, we talked already a lot about Morata and his position. We said that he can do that role, not being pay attention. And when we say Mandzukic was a total different person
Mm,
in terms of character. You have a more fragile Morata, where the other one was a big warrior. That being said, Chiellini
mm.
injured. He was injured. He comes back. He play a game. He played 75 minutes, and he's probably again one of the
Yeah,
best defenders of the world. But
yeah,
cack. What
yeah.
consequences do we have there? What do you do with his next year? What do we do?
Yeah. So I think depending on his salary, we have to consider what are his on the field contributions, but also what are his off the field contributions. It's hard to say exactly, but my feeling is that Chiellini is probably the most important player off the field in terms of transferring the Juve DNA how to think, how to interpret different situations, how to respond to difficulties, how to stay calm when you feel like you're flying. All of these things that are very, very, very important for the team to hear from somebody they consider a peer, right? Another player, not only from Allegri or from the coaches. You need to be hearing it from Allegri and from the coaches, but also from somebody who's like your equal, who's a player like you. That's very, very important. And we have other big characters in the dressing room, but Chiellini is the biggest probably in terms of representing that Juve DNA. So there's that very, very important contribution. The other thing about Chiellini that I notice is that even though he's injured often, he doesn't have a long, because of his experience, when he comes back, it doesn't take him a long time to put in good performances again. So not all players have this quality. Even if they're injured frequently, then not only are they injured frequently, but then when they come back, their first 2, 3, 4 games, they're not playing so good, 60% of their capacity. But he starts at a higher pace, right? He's closer to his kind of max level of performance, even if he's in and out of the team with injuries. So he has that going for him. But I think we have to, of course, in management knows this, we have to plan for him to leave, and maybe this is his last season. Maybe De Ligt, Bonucci can take over the kind of team captain style responsibilities from him enough that he can leave and we can have somebody more reliable.
I agree with that. It depends also on Italy. If Italy is out of the World Cup, I think it's his final year. If Italy qualifies, I think he will continue for another year. Rambo is going with the prediction of the end of the season in all the competitions that we are still in. Are you a prediction man? Are you a visionary? What's your for Coppa Italia, Serie A, and Champions League? Where do you see Juventus finishing?
I don't know. You want to answer first, Beppe?
I always say the same thing. In Serie A, I expect us to be in the top 4. I don't see us winning the Scudetto. Then I hope, and hope it's the last to die. I believe also in the mathematics. That means that from the moment that you tell me you can't win it anymore, then you can't win it anymore. But the gap is big. The gap is big, and you don't have like one team that is really over you. You have like 3, potentially 4. A lot will depend what we do versus Atalanta this weekend. And then I believe that at the end we will go in top 4. That's what I told it one time on the channel, or 3 times. I was not sure that we would go in top 4 before the mercato. I was not sure. I hoped, of course, but I always said to the people, pay attention for the roller coaster of the season, because the team was not 100% matching. It was not perfect. Now you have no excuses anymore. If you have and Zakaria and you have Vlahovic, you have no excuse. But the gap is too big. So top 4. What come over that, it's bonus. I'm happy. Then in Champions League, I expect to go over Villarreal. But then, I said it so many times, Champions League, you never know. Look at Inter, they will play Liverpool without Barella for 2 games because of a red card. You never know which player will be available, which team that you will face. It's hard to predict Champions League. You can win it, like Porto did, like Greece did in 2004 with Euro. You can win it, but it's hard. The competition is really strong. Coppa Italia, it's a cup that we are able to win, of course. Then, Sassuolo tomorrow, Thursday, you have to win, of course. But then you have a semi-final. If you are going through, you can go in the final and win it. So, winning the Coppa Italia, yes. Champions League over Villarreal and Serie A, top 4. I'm prudent.
Okay. So maybe I'll answer this in a bit of a cop-out way. So if everyone in chat wants to give me a hard time, I won't complain. So I'll say what I think are the minimum targets I think we'll get, and leave some option for overachieving. So I'll say for Serie A, 4th place minimum. I think there's a chance we can make it into 3rd, but 4th place. I think for Coppa Italia, we'll go to the final. Whether we'll win it or not, we'll see. But I think for Coppa Italia, we'll go to the final. And for Champions League, I agree. I think we'll make it past round of 16 and make it to the quarterfinal. So those are my feelings. I think we're carrying a lot of momentum for second half of the year. I feel good for the second half of the season.
People from Georgia, Caucasus, ciao Georgi. Formation against Sassuolo. But I believe, again, I said, for me, the biggest surprise will be Zakaria as a number 6. I think we will test it. I believe that Matthias Soulé will be in the squad list. Today I saw him training with the first team. Who knows? Who knows? Maybe a 4-3-3 with a Marleake. But also not too many crazy risks. Why? Because it's the only trophy that you can win, probably. So Allegri wants with a solid team. He wants to test. So I think that we will see some Locatelli moment as a mezzala, as a box-to-box. Locatelli, Zakaria, McKennie. I think that will be the lineup to start, but quite early changes if we are winning. And then why not? A big surprise like Ake playing 3-3 with Dybala actually on the bench tomorrow. Can be. Ake, Morata, and Vlahovic. Vlahovic plays for sure. Then Rugani, De Ligt, probably Rugani, De Ligt with Perin in the goal. And then Alexandro, I don't know if he's fit enough to start, but otherwise you have, maybe Pellegrini on the left. And then Danilo on the right. Let's see. Yeah.
Beppe, I have a question for you. So we are so optimistic from Sunday. We're optimistic for the season. What stood out to you as still a concern based upon Sunday's performance? What still you're not feeling so comfortable or so happy with?
We had a clean sheet, and that's great. The only thing that really annoyed me at a certain moment is that I understand when Allegri is saying that you can't dominate 100% of the game for 90 minutes. You can't, because physically the season is long. You can't. It's hard. So I totally understand that, and that you have to understand the moments of the game. But what I don't like is that on a 1-0, sometimes you try to manage the game by being organized and giving the possession to the other ones. I believe that we should grow towards, and I think that's the plan for the future, I believe, in a short term, but I think that we will need to manage the game having the ball instead of managing the game giving the ball. Because if you see the possession, Verona won the possession, not by a lot, but they still won the possession, and it's not okay. If you are playing in your home, you are Juventus, even if Tudor is doing a great job or not, if it's a solid team. They were missing Simeone, Capra, so they were also having, some players who were not there. It's something that it's not about I like or I don't like. It's just we are growing in a lot of things. Allegri had to build up from scratch in some difficult moments. So he started with defensive reorganization and structure. We have it. We started now with Zakaria working on our midfield, and finally he can use the players as he wants. We are recuperating Arthur. So now my big thing is try to manage the game having the possession, because otherwise it's dangerous. 1-0, you concede a goal from Verona, and then you don't know what's happening.
Yeah.
Did I answer well?
I agree. I agree. Yeah, I think this is a great answer, and I fully agree. You mentioned earlier, how long will this momentum, this good feeling, how long will it last? I think it will be connected to this also. Even if results are still coming now with Vlahovic, Zakaria joining, I think not only do we see as the fans that these were the two missing pieces, pieces, but that the players will also feel like that. And then the players will have a desire to play a more dominating style of football, to dominate other teams from start to finish. And if that isn't happening and they're still being asked and forced to play kind of in a low block like we saw, then maybe some of this good feeling can go away if the team doesn't see themselves evolving to that style of play.
Now, and I will partially answer also the question from Mohammed. Thank you for the donation, Mohammed, who's saying, did Allegri found his best way of plan of playing with the new signings? I think yes. On the other hand, I don't think that it was the request of Allegri to play low or a request of Allegri to give the ball to the opposition. I think it's a consequence of missing players, because you see, and the two players we bought were really requests from Allegri. I think that Allegri came in a moment where, first of all, we couldn't spend any money, and two, they also chose Allegri because they trust him, and waiting probably to the summer, because nobody expected to do something in January, for a real assessment. What can you do with that team? Because we know that one of the qualities of Allegri is that he can adapt to a different styles. Sarri was 4-3-3.
Yeah.
If you don't fit in a 4-3-3, it's a pity for you, but you will play in a role that is not fitting you. Allegri is more as a coach that, okay, I will adapt. Sometimes I will do a 3-5-2. Some seasons I will do a 4-2-3-1. I can play a lot of styles. So to have a real assessment of what player could be part of the project, what not. Look at Kulusevski, young player with potential, can be a big, but he said, I don't believe in him. He can't. He doesn't have the qualities that I want to. So ciao. So, and that's partially answering Mohammed's question. And also, I don't think it's an intention of Allegri to play like that, but with these players we had, sometimes we had to suffer. A lot of people are asking if you are able to speak Hindi. If you answer that, and then we can go to the next question.
They'll be so disappointed that I don't speak Hindi.
See.
I've been to India many, many times to see family, but in my household, my mother is American and my father is from India. So there was no chance to speak like that and to hear that growing up. So I didn't learn Hindi. No.
Hanin is going for Ake Vlahovic Quadrado tomorrow. That would be strange, even if Ake sometimes can play on the left. I don't think so. Maybe Ake, but I don't know if we will see them simultaneously. Wait, let me check the comment of Nasir, who's saying it would be really hard to regain championship, but second or third spot more logical. Main objective, try to go all the way in Champions League or and Coppa Italia. But for me, the second or third, if you look at the ranking now, Inter has 53, one game in hand, but that doesn't mean that they will win it, but the chances are there, of course. But then you have Milan and Napoli at 52. So, or you win and you go first, or you're fourth, because the gap between first, second, and third is really minimal. So that's why I don't know. Our friend Jason is saying, for me, the best part of these moves is that Morata can now play between the line, just behind the true number 9, which is absolutely where he plays best. We already covered that, Jason, and both of us, Abhay and myself, we agreed. Abhay, I know that you told me that at a certain moment you had to leave, so let me know so that we can close in anticipation. And when you have like 5 or 10 minutes to go, you let me know so I know. Okay?
Okay.
I always keep that in mind.
I'll tell you. Thank you so much.
Let me check if we have some. Do you have other questions for me? Because I love the fact that you challenge me, because most of the time I'm answering. If you have some questions, go for it. Otherwise, I pick one from the chat.
Well, I think I know your ideal 11, but because you've talked about it before, with all players fit, in general, your ideal 11. Can you repeat that for me so I can know?
Yeah, but you know, it's really strange what I'm seeing, but I think that football changed, especially with 5 subs. I don't believe anymore in the best 11. I believe in the best 14, 16, because sometimes you make some changes or you start with an 11 because you have something in mind on the bench. But I would go, okay, final of Champions League, depending also on the opponents, but probably I would go with if everyone fit and they can promise me that they can keep the 90 minutes or 120, I would go with Chesney in the goal, Danilo on the right. I would go with De Sciglio on the left, because this season on the left he's playing even better on the right. It's not the best player of the world, De Sciglio, we know that, but he's doing the job this season more than what we expect from De Sciglio, and absolutely better than Alexandro, that is having a really dangerous and not a great season. So Danilo, De Sciglio in the middle, De Ligt, and depending on the opponent, or Chiellini or Bonucci. If you are playing with a team that we have to go and take the possession, I would go with Bonucci. If we have to defend a bit more, probably with Chiellini. It depends, but one or the other I'm trusting. In the middle, we'll go with Locatelli on the left, with Zakaria on the right as a 8, actually, and Arthur as a 6. Why? Because Arthur will be there with being supported by two players that can play that defensive side, so you don't have too much pressure on Arthur, that when he's pressed he can keep the ball, but not a lot of time he knows what to do then with the ball, except of doing back passes. But with Locatelli on the left and Zakaria, he can protect the ball, give him or to Zakaria or to Locatelli, especially to Locatelli, that can really play with these long balls with that vision, left or right. So with these three, and then I would go with Morata, Dybala behind Vlahovic. Cuadrado is one of the players I really appreciate. I keep him out of the 11. Why? Because it's one of the perfect subs. Or for a Danilo, and then starting to pump also from the right and going up. Or changing, taking out Dybala and maybe playing that 4-3-3. So he's giving you a lot of alternatives. And a McKennie can change, for example, Arthur. You put Arthur out, you put Zakaria as a 6, and then that McKennie that will give some support going up and down, entering the box. That's a bit, how I see it.
Yeah, I like it. Mine is a little bit different from you, but more or less the same idea. The same mix of players, but maybe in a little bit of a different order. For me, I think we'll have to see, but I think that McKennie gives us a little something more, from the beginning. And I think that him on the right with Zakaria as a 6 starting, maybe that would be my one change to your system. But other than that, we're in complete alignment.
And then Keane that can play in the Dybala, in the Morata role, as you said as well earlier. There was a really great one, by the way, because someone said, let me try to find it. Who said it? Stefano Marrone said Keane will play tomorrow. Probably, yeah, makes sense. Yeah. If he doesn't play tomorrow, I don't understand. What about Caio Giorgi? Because we didn't see him a lot. He took the decision with the club to stay and not going on loan. Knowing, of course, that he would not be in Champions League. His dream, he had two dreams, poor guy, was to play with Cristiano Ronaldo and to play the Champions League. This season he didn't play with Cristiano and he's not playing Champions League. What can we expect from him? I made a video last time where I showed that actually in the first season in Italy, Vlahovic played even less than him, but we were expecting a bit more.
Yeah, I think it's connected to the name we see on the screen now, and I think it's also connected to Morata. So there's a couple of options in the summer. One is Morata becomes indispensable and we can negotiate a good fee for him and we sign him. And we use him as this left-sided second striker as he played against Verona. And in that case, I think either Moise Kean or Caio Giorgi will be kind of an understudy for that second striker position. So maybe we'll see what opportunities come. There was news about PSG being interested in Kean again in the summer. If they come in and make a good offer, I would probably take it, keep Morata for a better price, and then train up Caio Giorgi as a second striker in the mold of Morata. maybe this would be a plan we could do.
Jason is asking, what position would you address in the summer if we do something? I have a clear answer, steady, but I first want to hear you.
Either a right-sided midfielder or a right winger, younger, bigger potential, bigger impact right winger, and we go to a more traditional, physical style right winger in a 4-3-3.
I would address personally, if I have one, I would go for the left back. That's really a position we have to we have to fix, the left back position, because I'm not. I think that for Alexandro now it's time to change, maybe to have a new challenge. De Sciglio I would keep. I would extend De Sciglio, but making clear that he's still a bench player that can play a lot of games on the right, on the left. So you use him a lot, and he knows it, and he will accept it. And Pellegrini, I saw a few games of him this season, but I said it always. I'm not 100% convinced about Pellegrini.
Yeah.
It started to convince me in some games like versus Lazio, where he was really paying attention to the double position offensively and especially defensively.
Yeah.
Didn't had that crazy injuries this season, even if he was a bit injured at certain moments. But it's not enough for me to be the left back of the future Juventus. So I would go for left back. The problem is, who do you take?
This is a good comment. I was so disappointed to see Gosens go to Inter, especially for the price. They got a very good deal.
I thought also, Guido, that he would probably go on loan, because I saw someone that told me as well, let him play with under 23. I think that would not be okay, because it's still third division. He's a player that came for the first team, so I would not do that. But on loan, I think yes. Guys, we will round up in 5 minutes. So 5 minutes from now on, we stop. I think it was a really great live. I loved it. So let me check if we have some comments here. Left back and midfield for Rauf. Gabriel is saying we absolutely need to replace Sandro this summer. I like the right winger answers, but I would like a speedy back, probably from the left. Beppe, see my previous comment. What did Ness tell me? Let me go back. Can I go back? Wait, Ness. I try to find your comment. Don't let me check for nothing, and Ness. Now I'm really high. I don't see your comment, Ness.
No. It's not so far back from.
You saw
from this
one?
comment. Yeah.
Let me check. Can I see it? Here. It's here. Cherubini. Maybe he can get the Canadian from Bayern Munich. Would love to have a war. That will not happen. That will not happen, guys. We have to be serious. Sometimes we have to be serious, guys. And then Milinkovic. But Milinkovic-Savic is a great player. The problem is that it's hard. Lotito is hard. It's not Carnevali. Carnevali, you can sit with him. He will stay with his price. Maybe you can negotiate on terms. But Lotito is really a disaster. So it's a pity for a player like Milinkovic-Savic, because probably would have an amazing career if he left like 2-3 years ago. Now he's there, I believe, as well. 7 years, something like that.
But he's still young-ish, huh? 26?
Yeah, I think it's like that, 26, yeah.
Okay.
Maximum of likes, people. That's the request of Bogdan. And meanwhile, we have BC Artax, mon ami qui parle français, qui s'est réabonné. He became a member again for the 4th consecutive month, who is saying a really great comment. And thank you, BC Artax, saying Beppe Wendell from Ajax, perfect profile as left back. You know that from the Ajax players, I'm always, doubtful about them. I like them. I love them at Ajax. And then it's a yes or no. Because who succeeded from Ajax in Juve? We are speaking about Davids. After first going to Milan, where he was a total flop. We received it from Milan. Thank you, Milan, again. De Ligt. But De Ligt is a center defender, center back. For the other players, I'm always doubtful. Why? Because they play a typical game since the Youth Academy, and they are used to that game. Technical play, they know, they understand how they have to do. Or they go to Barcelona that is playing kind of the same vision and they adapt really quickly, most of them, or it's hard. Then Wenda, I would say yes, I would be happy. But anyway, any name that you give me, I would tell you yes now, if it's not too expensive.
Yeah.
Sadr is saying excellent live. I had a really great time. I had a really great time. I want to say also to Jason in the chat that I would love Jason to come back on the channel as well because we had a really great live. Today was a really nice live. Cancelo is gone, Guido. He just signed until 2026, and I believe and I'm happy to see like Cancelo being happy at Manchester City. I think that he would never have reached the same level at Inter or Juventus because it's a player that loves to go up, to have that space that space there on the wings. I don't know if it would have been great at Juve like he showed it, but I don't know if it would have been in the same circumstances. Sometimes we have to be happy with players leaving.
You're very mature, Beppe. Your experience shows in comments like this, huh?
In what?
This is your maturity and your experience showing. When you make comments like this, it shows that you've been around a long time. You're an experienced supporter. You can make comments
It's not
like
the
that.
first time. One day I posted on Twitter. I posted I'm more happy with Danilo. No, I actually provoked a bit because I said Danilo is bigger than Cancelo, but I put both of them in a Juve shirt, and I will continue to say it. At Juve, I'm more happy with Danilo than what we had with Cancelo. Yeah. That doesn't mean that Cancelo is better than Danilo because Cancelo has incredible qualities and what he's doing at City is incredible. I would love to have that also at Juve, and we had him. Yeah. Unfortunately, we had to sell him for profit values because at the time that was really important because of the sustainability project with Ronaldo. So, by the way, I think he's not. Yeah, from Alkmaar. I don't know. I couldn't follow the discussion. Okay. One of your last comments, Abhay. What do you want to add on our live so that we can round up?
Well, just one thing I was paying attention to on Sunday. Of course, we want to see the new men, right? We want to see Vlahovic, we want to see Zakaria. But I wanted to see also how the players on the field, the existing players, were basically how they were treating the new players, right? And the thing that I was very encouraged to see, and I think is a good sign for the future, is that Dybala and Morata worked for Vlahovic the whole game that they played. And this is a very good sign because Morata and Dybala are two established attacking players. Maybe they could have the response of being a little bit threatened. Vlahovic coming in, big money. You see how much promotion Juve put behind him when they came, how much attention we gave Vlahovic coming in across all social media, everything like that. And you can imagine a response for two players who are in an insecure position, right? Both can leave Juve soon. Maybe not responding in such a way to support him with their gameplay, and to work for him like they did. But I saw from the first minute, actually, I was very happy to see. At the end, Dybala made this gesture at the end, becoming upset. That was a little disappointing. But during the game, everything he was doing, working in the role that he was given and not hesitating at all to give the ball to Vlahovic, not trying to find him with the through pass like he found for the goal. And I was really encouraged by that, how everyone was playing to immediately integrate the new players and to serve Vlahovic as our starting target man. I thought that was a very mature thing to see from Morata and Dybala, and that was very encouraging to me. So this is something that I noticed from Sunday that I felt good about.
Jason is curious about two names of wingers that you like, Abhay. Right wingers, huh?
That's a good question. Now putting me on the spot. Who should I pick? I'm not sure about a Zaniolo. I'm not sure about that. That name has come about a lot. I guess we have to see, but it depends also on the price and on how the rest of the season goes for him. But as a young prospect, Italian player, a Juventus fan also, Zaniolo could be a good option. Zaniolo could be a good option for the right side.
We have Wolfdies. I really wanted to say hello to Wolfdies. Why? Because he's always writing me on Instagram with nice pictures also and comments. I really like it. Today he sent me a video asking me about McKennie and so on. So thank you. Continue to do it. Guys, that's the end. Like Robin is saying, Robin van der Vorst. Good night, Beppe and Abhay. Thank you, Abhay, for the time. I hope it's not the last time. Thank you for all the people that stay with us. It was a different chat with a guest. I love to do it. Thank you. Thank you. Really appreciate it. Abhay, you want to say hello to the guys?
To be here, Beppe. Thank you everyone for coming. It was so good to be here representing you all in the chat. Normally I'm there with you, chatting it up, having a great time with Beppe like we always do. And it's great to be here and to finally connect in person, Beppe. Thank you so much for everything you do, huh?
No. It's really a pleasure for me to do it. Really, I have fun. If I'm not able to do a video there, I'm really feeling like empty. Something is missing. So thank you for you, Abhay, and all the people in the chat to keep watching, to keep putting a like, to support the channel, because that's just amazing. So guys, if you want to be there, let us know. Rositano is saying it, Ron. Great guest, and I totally agree with that. Thank you, Abhay. Thank you, the chat. As always, Forza Juve. Ciao, guys.